They are much brighter. Fuse box that wasn't connected. Hi, I'm Darren, an untrained amateur who's determined to save one of the last of his classic cars. This is Roy, a 45-year-old 2.8 litre Vauxhall Royale coupe. When I owned one 30 years ago, they were rare. Now they're unknown. This is one of the last of its kind, and I'm going to rescue it and relive my youth. Follow the rebuild, watch this legend come back to life. Right, morning everyone. Last time we took the tank out and found it to be full of lots and lots and lots of rust. It was really quite horrible. It's no wonder we couldn't drive very far without gumming everything up. We also found a random bit of pipe in there where somebody had obviously tried to siphon the tank at some stage and lost the pipe down the hole. And we also found a mesh bag full of pellets which were supposed to replace the lead in petrol. Of course, it's a complete scam. It doesn't work. They're still available. I did have a look. They're still selling them. And because they don't work, it's a different kind of lead. You know, it's not soluble lead, it's solid lead. And it's probably been in there for 30 years. And the inside of the tank has been rusted to pieces by the fuel that's in there. The only thing that hasn't corroded in there is the lead. They're absolutely pristine, like new. Complete scam. If anybody promises you anything for nothing, it's not going to work. Anyway, in the intervening week, the tank has had a day and a half with water and citric acid. So it had 5 kilos of citric acid powder and water in it. And it had a day and a half like that. That made the inside nice and bright and shiny. Okay, so there's a little tiny bit still in there. But compared to what it was, that is absolutely incredible. That is a real huge difference. The water actually came out green. It was incredible. And then I put washing soda in it and I dangled some steel nuts into it, and I put one side of the tank, the body of the tank, on the negative side of my power supply, and I put the nuts on the positive side. And for a day and a half I ran a current through it, and I'll show you some pictures here of what we got. Right, this has been running for about 16 hours now, so we've got the washing soda in there acting as the electrolyte. The outside of the tank is bonded to negative, and we hung on the positive some nuts to attract the rust. Well, that is quite something, isn't it? That's not rust that's developed, that's been attracted. Underneath that sort of cylinder, that was a stack of nuts, and they were sort of fresh nuts. I'm not sure there's much more to come off, because it kind of its ampage went up and now its ampage has gone down again, so it's like there's not a lot of activity left, but it's still sort of fizzing away there. Just put it in there, it's still fizzing. It was very strange last night. The tank was warm, but we've still got like surface brownness to be rinsed off, but there's no. That was like rough, like gravel inside, and now it's all smooth. This is definitely a success. So I think I'll probably leave it for another few hours and see where it goes. The the rust that's on those nuts is actually what's been taken off of the tank and deposited on the nuts. It's been transferred away from the tank onto the nuts. Really quite incredible. Anyway, tank has also now had a coat of paint on the outside to make it look a bit shinier. So now today I just want to spray some. I did paint underneath in the week with some director metal paint, just brush painted it, but I'm going to spray some Dinitrol under seal all over it as well this morning, and then we'll also move the fuel pump from the front to the rear and basically do all the plumbing, plumb the tank back in, put some fuel in it, and then we should be at a stage where we can take it for a nice long test drive and start bedding those rings in. So without further ado, let's crack on and get the Dinitrol on there so that we can start putting things back together at that end. So hopefully, as you can see, everything's had a bit of a coat of paint. It all got a good wire brushing down first, and then a spray of rust neutralizer. There was only sort of light patches of surface rust on it. There wasn't anything bad at all, really. So we're just really trying to stop it getting any worse when it's back in a position where we can't get to it again, because once the tank goes back, all this gets covered up. So we'll give it a spray of Dinitrol now, and then we can look at putting the tank back in. I'm going to put the pump up on there's a box section up there. That's where I'm going to put the pump, and I've got a snazzy new idea for how to mount the pump, which is borderline genius. Even I'm impressed. So we'll do that. We've got a little bit of wiring to do as well. But first of all, if we get this Dinitrol on, then it can start just to tack off a bit before we put the tank up, while we do the pump and the wiring. Yeah, so that doesn't look too bad at all. We can set about doing that pump now. Okay, so we're going to mount the pump up there. Pump needs to go in from the tank out to there. So we basically want a couple of mounting holes. This would have been where the pump would have been if it was fuel injection. So this is where my brilliant idea comes in. And it's such a good idea, I ought to be careful my foot doesn't fall off. Rubber mounting bush, a couple of them. Now that needs a thread to go into it. And my idea is to use a rivet nut. So I bought myself a rivet nut kit. Basically what it is a sleeve with a thread in it. You put it in there, squeeze it, and it clamps a thread into the hole. So we'll give it a go. Right, I've put some Dinitrol on the end of it so it looks after the paint, and then we give it a bit of a squeeze like that, undo it, and now we've got a thread in there. Thread takes rubber mounting bush. Mounting bush takes pump. Job's a good one. Right, let's work out what pipe does what and do some wiring. That's right, that goes on there and it goes up and over. So when you're filling up, that gives somewhere for the air to go. Adjust the length of that one when it's on, when that's all lined up. None of these breathers were in place. It's amazing you can fill the tank. Probably couldn't. Because without that in place, you can't get the air out of this end of the tank. This GoPro is so reliable. You can set your watch by it. Every time I go to do something interesting, the battery runs out. It's incredible. I don't know how it does it. Right. Not really heavy, just bulky. When it comes to the pipe work, I deliberately left an old pipe on the car and a pipe on the tank, so I know which way round they go. That is the feed, so that top union needs to go to the pump, which means the pump out goes to what that pipe would have been on, which is that one there. We're getting all these old bits of pipe out of the system as well, because that'll be all of the pipe, all of the fuel pipe that's rubber changed, which is important with the new petrol, because I don't know if this old stuff can handle the amount of ethanol that's in it now. All right, so we're coming out the tank, into the pump and the inside, out of the outside into the main fuel flow. I'll change this bit of pipe in a sec for a new bit of return pipe, and then we will be laughing. And we can just do these tank struts up. I think we're in. Okay, so we've got an earth there already for the fuel tank sender. A touch of protection. Trouble with that heat shrink with glue in it is it stays hot for so long. Burn your fingers on it. Okay, so that's got our fuel pump earth and fuel gauge sender earth. And what we're going to do is send the fuel pump wire with the petrol lines, because they go where we want to go. Okay, so we've got the cable about a third of the way down. So if we lift up the front, bring it the rest of the way. Right. So that's that nice heat resistant sleeving I've been using. So that lines the cable. That there is a spare earth, which in the fullness of time I will actually use that, because I'll put an inertia switch on it so that in the event of a bump it cuts the fuel off. I've just got to find a suitable one at the moment. But what we will do is mount the fuel filter a bit better. Now we've got the technology. Okay, so what we can do is mount this fuel filter a tiny touch better than it was. And we just put a couple of these riv nuts in, so they just like screw onto the end of the device, of the riveter. Yeah, bung them in the hole and then crimp them. I think you can unwind out of it. It's one of my new favourite tools, that, because it's so simple in what it does, but so effective. So they just screw straight into those threads. Absolutely magic. Rubber strip. And then we can mount the filter straight on it. Absolutely stunning. Looks even vaguely professional that way. So that's our supply, which is now too small. Okay, so that's coming up from the pump. So we've got our return line here. That's good up to this point here. That needs to be done from there on in. And that's our fuel supply here. And this is where I'm going to put the filter. because we've got a place waiting there for the filter. This kind of gives an insight into how bad things were in the tank, because this filter has done 15 miles. Should be like that. It's 15 miles, it's got mud in it. I'm using a good quality filter. I'm not using those rubbish £5.50 ones. These are the significantly more expensive £6.50 ones. So we're filtering what's going into the carb with the paper filter. The return is before then. Let's put some cable ties on that lot. It's now going to be a couple of trips to the fuel station to get some fuel. Okay, so I've put a gallon of juice in it. It's still so empty that it hasn't even brought the petrol gauge up to nothing yet. It is moving, but it's still below minimum. Right, now, little thing we do need to get going is the windscreen washers, because the windscreen washer bottle has got a problem in that there should be a rubber in there and it's perished and gone. But I measured it, and hopefully these fit, because they're just grommets, and they're like silicone grommets. Perfect. There's the washer. Okay, we have to warm that up to get it to go on there. Fire. Now, I haven't plumbed in the headlight washers or plugged in the headlight wipers, because they never work. So they are a luxury that we can chase another time. I can't hear any washer type noises. I have no idea why that's making that noise. Right, we have no washers. Okay, we're about to go down one of those rabbit holes, because this was not making buzzing noises before when you indicated. But an interesting thing is that when I took the tank out, it looked as though there was at some stage there was a tow bar on it, because there's some cut off wires under there. So I suspect the wires were just cut off because, you know, nothing will have been done properly because this car. I suspect the wires were just cut off and left there. So we probably ought to have a look and see what's going on. They go through the boot floor under the spare wheel. Haven't really looked in here yet. Never really looked at this. The Royale Monza Owners Club International Rally 2002 Royale National winner. It's a trophy winning car. It's a shame the trophy's in such a state. It's got a reasonably good tyre. This is good. What have we got going on here, Roy? Oh, wow. Scotch lock connectors, we love them. I absolutely detest these things. That's the buzzer that's going. So this is for an old tow bar. And rather than take it out, they've just left it in. So just left it in to cause an electrical fire, because, you know, why wouldn't you? The good thing about Scotch lock connectors is they are useless, and thus it doesn't take very long to undo things. Yeah. Evil Scotch lock connector. Right. I think life will be a lot better without that. Now, while we're in here, there's a thing we can do. First of all, contact cleaner is amazing. Gunge removed. I was going to do this another day, but now's as good a time as any. LED lamps, so that's stop and tail. And I've got another one which will be suitable for the reverse lights to make them a bit brighter. the indicator and the fogs. Indicator needs to have a traditional bulb. If it ain't got a traditional bulb, it will play up like anything because the flasher unit won't be able to cope, won't know what's going on. And the fog light can have a traditional bulb because it's hardly ever used. I love how we started doing windscreen washers and got completely sidetracked into this. Yeah, that's a significant improvement. Hope that comes across on camera okay. But that is a significant improvement in light quality. So put the brake lights on. Oh yes, that's much better. That's much better. Okay, we've got good brake lights by the look of it. So that's the brake lights. That's the tail lights. Those LEDs are a vast improvement. Oh yeah, you can really tell the difference on that reverse light. Okay, let's change the other bulbs. You were actually helping me then because I could connect to the GoPro on my phone and see what you were seeing. That is incredible compared to that. Yeah, they are much brighter. It's a shame you can't reliably do it with indicators. They rely on resistance. So if you put an LED in circuit, the flasher unit doesn't get the right resistances and you end up with a really fast flash. But then two new ordinary lamps in the indicators, which is a start. Let's have a look at the fog lights. I've got a bucket load of LED dashboard lights as well to go in the fullness. I just cannot believe this. I mean, look, it was just like that under the floor of the car, connected still. Okay, let's go and put some fuel in it. Which involves a nice big hill. Yes, that's how it should drive. So hot idle, we've got 2 bar of oil pressure, 3 bar when we're cruising. Good. Temperature sitting just over halfway all the time. Possible there's still an airlock in there. Voltage 13 and a half ish, if these gauges are to be believed. That's all good. Okay, so bit of fault finding later. Found a wire at the fuse box that wasn't connected. We now have a washer jet. This is brilliant. The other thing I've done or going to do is I am bored of this hole. This hole doesn't do anything helpful. Now I know some people will say I'm being absolutely terrible and have me shot in the car park, but I've bought an Android radio. Just because you drive a car from the 70s doesn't mean it has to be the 70s in here all the time. It actually fits rather nicely. It is a practicality thing more than anything, because it'll let me connect my phone to it and therefore take a call hands-free. Yes, I know it's not original, but then again I don't think there's very much being played on medium wave anymore. So I have got a radio in the boot that came with the car. I don't know if it works or not, and all it is just an AM FM radio with a tape deck. There are limits. So I think we'll drop this in and see what happens. So yeah, all in all, I think we've had a really successful day. We've got the fuel tank in, we've got the washers working, we're running, we're driving nicely. We've even got some decent brake lights. Yeah, today, for once, we have got a bit closer to rescuing Roy. I'll see you in the next one.